Next keynote that we're excited to welcome is Mark Jensen, Farm Credit Services of America President and CEO. Mark has over 25 years of agriculture lending experience and has provided leadership to the credit, risk management, and appraisal teams that support sales, service, and strategic planning activities. So please help me welcome Mark Jensen.
Well, good morning, everyone. Was this a cool week or what? Great message, David. That, talked a lot about innovation and technology, and you take a look at, just the spirit around those themes this week. Wow, could it really get more exciting than that? And, I attend a lot of conferences, throughout the year and over the years, frankly. And, sometimes you can just get a feel that there's something pretty special going on. And I think it's pretty safe to say that what you saw going on this week was pretty special. And we're on to something here. And, I think about, different places I've been to conferences, including Silicon Valley. I think it's safe to say that Silicon Valley ain't got nothing on the Red River Valley. So it's pretty cool. So I'm going to really focus in on innovation, technology, and how things are changing, because we believe very strongly that as an organization, innovation and a focus on that area is no longer an option. It's really a have-to. It's a have-to that we have to compete, to evolve with agriculture, just like you were talking about, David. And not only does innovation have to be an investment, but collaboration and innovation need to go hand in hand. And the reason for that is it's just getting more and more complex. Things are changing so much all the time that the ability to solve problems on your own are really getting more and more challenging as well. I mean, you think about, you got the farmers and the ranchers, you got the startup entities, you've got ag companies, you have retailers, you've got policymakers, you've got research institutes, you've got government agencies, you've got the universities and the investors. And that's not all-encompassing of everybody. But the point is, you add all of those audiences up, and the different pieces of the solution, oftentimes they hold, collaboration is really the answer to that. So before I talk a little bit more about innovation, I'm going to talk a little bit about our organizations. So I'm fortunately serve as the CEO of Ag Country Farm Credit Services of America, and Frontier Farm Credit. So those three entities are reflected by the maps up there. These entities are all part of the National Farm Credit System, also structured as a co-op, and is the largest financer of agriculture in the U.S. These entities over that 8-state area comprise the largest accumulative lender to production agriculture in the country as well. So again, we cover 8 states. What a productive area, arguably one of the most productive areas in the world from an ag standpoint, with roughly about 90,000 customers spread across that territory. So again, we're structured as a co-op just like CHS is, but our focus is providing financing to finance the things that you sell to customers, like seed and fertilizer and chemical, and then a big part of our business is financing ag businesses, ag real estate, et cetera. So really anything from the producer to the food table, more than likely there's some piece of that we have our hands in. So that's what we do. So, let me talk again, this is kind of along the themes of collaboration. And collaboration, one of the things that usually stands in the way to that is silos. So to collaborate, you really have to break down those silos. And for far too long, the agricultural industry, I think you can argue, has been pretty siloed. You got different stakeholders working in isolation with their own set of data and resources that's available to try to solve problems, but usually is contained within a silo in itself. So the question is, how do we break down those silos? How do you create a dynamic environment where people are engaging in and we're working together to solve problems? At our core, we think collaboration is really key to that. How can we harness the power of others working together to try to solve problems to gain those insights? And that's where Grand Farm and just the whole concept itself just fits so well with what we believe the future holds. Because we really believe that collaboration and working together will be key. And it's that approach and spirit that makes for a great strategy and alignment in the industry for us. I'm going to switch a little bit here. So I'm going to talk about kind of our journey a little bit into innovation, how we've leveraged it in the organization, and in this example, how we collaborated with someone. So it was roughly 15 years ago, we started to make an investment in more, I'll call it formalized innovation. So we formed an innovation team. We really started to collect a lot more data, from our customers, from the industry, et cetera. We started engaging a lot of our teammates and how can we evolve the business on even a day-to-day basis to be more innovative and change things for the betterment of our customers. So we started again that process about 15 years ago. About 7 or 8 years ago, after gaining a lot of insight from customers, we found there was a problem that our customers, many of them wanted us to, were seeking a way to try to solve. And that was, how can they become better financial managers on their own? So how can they create balance sheets and cash flows and break-even analysis and have the tools to be able to do that along with the skill set and understanding to do it. So, to try to solve that problem, we sought out collaborative partners to do it, and we ended up partnering with a company in New Zealand, just happened to be based, who had built those type of tools from a digital standpoint and had deployed it in New Zealand and Australia. Now, they had deployed this set of technology through accountants, not necessarily directly to farmers and ranchers. So when we started working with them, the idea was that we would work together to form a tool that customers could engage in directly and be able to use. Well, a long story short, we made a lot of investments and worked on that together for about 3 years, and essentially after a 3 years period, the tool didn't evolve as we expected it to. The customer usage didn't evolve as we expected, and about 3 years later, we sunsetted the tool. And at the crux of it was a misalignment around the objectives and the problems we're trying to solve. We were working with a partner that knew how to solve things for accountants, that thought they could translate that to customers, working with us that know a lot about customers or working directly with customers and trying to satisfy something that's pretty easy for customers to be able to use. Well, again, long story short, the misalignment of that ultimately caused us to sunset that project. So you may be wondering, why is this guy up here talking about failures in innovation? Frankly, what turned out to be a failure, and oftentimes they can be one of your greatest moments as well. And we would probably chalk that up as one of ours. We learned a lot through that process. Some of the things we learned that a lot of you know that invest in innovation, it isn't easy. It's a big commitment. Sometimes you make these bets or you make these investments that don't always work out. This was one that happened to not work out. But here's some of the things we learned from it that I think was a lesson that still plays for us today. Alignment is critical. What's the problem you're trying to solve? Are all of your partners on the same page in terms of alignment around those problems? Innovation takes courage, especially when it isn't going so well. So your commitment to go ahead and make those investments in the future, even when some things don't work, there's a lot of us that can learn a lot of lessons around that. And I mean, let's be real. Do you think Apple deploys a lot of things that don't work? I believe they do. So does Microsoft. As an old staunchy lender, it's kind of a different story to make those type of investments and then see something not play out. Which a lesson in that is, if lenders can make an investment in innovation, anybody can. Other things we learned a lot about just testing our commitment, and we learned a lot about whether we really wanted a future that was based on innovation, and it tested us as a leadership team and as a board as to whether we were aligned on, hey, not everything's going to go perfect, but if you learn from those moments and deploy those learnings into the future, it can really be a great success. So, innovations has its wins and losses. Is maybe the story at the end of this, but the wins by far have outweighed the losses, and even the losses we've benefited from. Another thing that we believe, especially as we think about innovation, and especially in today's world with everything changing, is you have to put customer at the center of everything. Customers have more choices than they ever had of financing, of where they buy their products. Those choices are abound. If you don't take a focus, or you don't have a focus in your innovation around what's important to customers, you're probably not going to have a winning strategy. So, that's just a key philosophy for us as we think about innovation, and the information we gather from customers and the insight we gain there is just critical. And with collaboration and innovation, you could be more confident that you're evolving at the pace of agriculture and evolving at the pace of your customers, which, confidence is key when you're making, these type of investments. And speaking of investments, we're proud to have an investment with Grand Farms. Well, let's hear some claps then. Yeah, and what we're really excited about and why we're really thrilled to make this type of investment has a lot to do with alignment. A lot of the things that I've mentioned in terms of if you look at the problems they're trying to solve, finding new ways to innovate and solve those by collaborating together and bringing folks just like this week in a room together to try to solve these problems. That's just a perfect alignment for us. I just can't say enough about the support that we've gotten from Grand Farms. They've been in our boardroom to just promote the vision of Grand Farm, as well as the investments we've made. And it was so cool to be able to use that facility yesterday. From what I understand, Greg, I think we were the first ones to get to have a meeting in that facility. So hopefully that went well, and it didn't turn out to be one of those, to build a new house and invite your friends over and they spill spaghetti sauce on the floor. I don't think we spilled anything, but it was just really cool to be able to use that facility and, thinking 5 years from now how that's going to be a multi-use facility and what ideas are going to come out of it. Which again, I mentioned this with Grand Farm, there's such great alignment. If you look at, the mission of Grand Farm, enables technology to feed the world by facilitating collaboration and innovation, solving some of the world's urgent challenges. And there's the mission of the Farm Credit System. And you boil those down, the alignment has to do with we are both enablers of agriculture and the ability of agriculture in the U.S. and frankly the world to feed a world population. There are very few things that are at the core of something so sustainable and critical as food, and it's great to have that type of alignment, which again, if you're going to partner, that alignment makes a ton of sense. Let me talk about, you hear the term ecosystem a lot, and I looked up the definition of ecosystem. Complex connected organisms in a physical environment and all their relationships in a particular unit of space. For me, in more simple terms, to boil that down, it kind of sounds like we're all in the same boat. So, an ecosystem is a great example of a problem to solve and bringing, many people together to do it. So, there's some really things that are important to understand, though, in regard to an ecosystem, and one of those is where do you fit within it? Are you in the center of that ecosystem and people are trying to coordinate with you? Are you in the middle of it, or in ring 1 or 2? Or are you on the outside looking in? And for us, we've had a lot of discussion in terms of various different innovation efforts. Where do you sit within that? Because if you decide you're going to sit somewhere and you're not in the right place, your ability to maneuver and get something accomplished is going to be really difficult. And then, what relationships do you need within that ecosystem to, really foster what you're trying to get accomplished, and how do you build those relationships? But, those are a couple things that, we've learned about ecosystems. Now, I'm going to just, kind of wrap it up with, the power of collaboration again. Together we can create more. We can create sustainability and, solving problems and sustainability in agriculture to be more productive and more profitable and a more prospering industry for the future. So, thanks again for the opportunity to be here. So appreciative to Grand Farm for the opportunity to speak and share a message, and just wish all of you the absolute best. I think this is one of the most exciting times in agriculture. The future is extremely bright, and it's just great to see and hang out with all these great minds to foster that vision for the future. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate it.